Hey everybody, I'm the Rusty Mechanic, and today I'm going to take a look at Newage H62 Louie. This is their Legend Scale version of Blaster from the original Transformers G1 cartoon. This version does also come with two cassettes, Rewind and Ramhorn, so we'll be taking a look at those as well. I'm going to go through everything to do with this figure, including taking a quick look at the box. We'll go over a detailed look at the figure itself, check out the accessories that he comes with, do a quick transformation, and then finally look at the alt mode as well, and I'll give you my final thoughts on the figure and the two cassettes that it comes with and all the accessories at the end of the video. Also, if you stick around to the end of the video, I do have details on a monthly raffle that I'm starting this month. I'm going to be giving away this guy this month. It's Studio Series 86 Optimus Prime. So if you haven't managed to find this guy and you're looking for a way to get him, please stick around to the end of my video. I have more details on how you can get into that raffle and support a very important non-profit organization that's near and dear to my heart called Kennedy's Village. Again, more details on that at the end. But before we get into the review, quick shout out to ShowZ Store, which is where I got this figure from. You can go ahead and check out their website, showzstore.com. To go ahead and pick up this figure. He is still available, and while you're there, if you are shopping on showzstore.com, you can use my code RUSTY at the top of their website in the support your favorite reviewer field. Doesn't cost anything, just helps to support the channel, and it's always greatly appreciated. And with all of that stuff out of the way, let's get into it. Alright, so as always, we're going to start out with the box itself. So, a little bit of a different design for Louie. It doesn't have that standard nostalgic G1 stuff like we see with like the grid lines like we're used to from the original toys and that. So a bit of a different design on their own. Some cool artwork on the front of Blaster himself with his pistol. Same artwork on the top. This is an actual picture of the figure in both modes at the bottom, along with the two cassettes that he comes with, and we'll get more into that as we go through the review. And then, as always, what I like on the back of the box is some type of recreation from our childhood. This is obviously from the Transformers the movie, the original animated movie from '86, where Blaster is in the communication tower and he's about to broadcast out to Optimus for help during the attack of Autobot City. Interesting to note that this does actually look like he's in some type of diorama, so I'm wondering if Newage is actually planning on maybe releasing this communication tower for the Blaster figure. We'll have to wait and see if that happens. Let's go ahead and take a look at the figure itself. It does come in the standard Newage plastic bubble packaging. Set of instructions here in the back. Oh, that's alright. I'll just lose all the accessories in the process. Accessories are in a sealed plastic bag, but of course I cut the plastic bag open to take a look at the accessories before I did this review, but we'll get into those accessories shortly. So there he is with the two cassettes, like I said, Rewind, Ramhorn, Blaster. So it comes in a plastic bag. We'll take a look at the cassettes as well afterwards. But there he is. Standard Newage stuff, right, is that this is a really good recreation of what we remember from the cartoon. The figure is fully painted from top to bottom. Even the gray areas here looks like they are painted as well. It's not just molded plastic, so they did not, no short supply of the paint applications here on this guy. Head sculpt. Very reminiscent of Blaster, right? The solid white forehead with the white face, the two horns on either side, bright blue chrome eyes, facial details, nose, mouth, chin, all very good looking stuff. Yellow for the chest with light gray, dark gray details here. The buttons here are painted light gray. Again, like I said, everything on here that's red is painted, everything that's light gray is painted, dark gray painted, the button details down here above the feet, the two circles. Very cool looking stuff. Just take a look on the side. So we got some yellow details here on the side along with line details all throughout the arms. Nice profile, no crazy backpack. I mean, we're talking about a square robot that transforms into a box, so I don't expect any of this to be sticking out anywhere. Nice clean back. Not a lot of panel lines going on here or anything. The only nitpicky detail I think that I don't like is from the side profile is his elbows here. So there's a hinge point here at the back that's kind of sticking out. It is part of the transformation for the arms, but it doesn't really hinder the overall presence of this figure. So very cool looking looking figure. I'll take a look at the cassettes. I'll do a transformation of the cassettes later, and we can look at their modes as well afterwards, but we'll just focus on Blaster for now. Let's go ahead and take a look at his accessories. We'll start with his blaster. So, very cool blaster, molded plastic, but it is painted, same color as his legs and hands. Nice scope on the top, cool details around the barrel, sight line here at the end of the barrel, some additional details, stock on the back, a cartridge, I guess, or why am I forgetting the word for what holds it? Magazine. Wow. Magazine style thing down here, right? Single peg. That obviously just pegs right into his closed fist accessory. So he ends up looking like that with the blaster. It's a decent size. We've seen different iterations of blaster, you know, from the original and the masterpiece, where his blaster is typically longer than this. I think this is an appropriate size for the Legend scale, right? It's not grotesquely long that it's almost touching the ground, because some of the blasters I've seen for different iterations of blaster, they're actually, you know, his blaster is excessively long. But I think that looks good. I like that accessory. It's got a lot of nice details in it. We'll just put that there. Let's go ahead and take a look at his speakers. So he does come with a pair of gold speakers. These are also painted, kind of a metallic finish, but not quite. And I think I'm okay with that, because I'm always concerned about overly metallic finishes in paint that sometimes they chip easily. I think this is gold enough, if you will. Some detail in the middle, sort of a speaker cone needle in the center. Of course, both of them just have a peg at the end, right, that go in where his fists are. So as with, you know, all the, let me just fix your shoulder, all the Newage hands, right, they're just pegged into the end. So you literally just remove his fist, and you would plug in the speaker cones. Bit of a tight fit, probably due to the paint, so that you have that scene from the episode. I think the episode's called Autobot, right? And it's the one where him and Trax are investigating a dance club, and Soundwave and Starscream are behind the whole thing, right? So we actually got to see a really decent battle between Blaster and Soundwave, right? And Blaster finally gets the upper hands by taking a set of speakers from the stereo equipment that's at the dance club and using them to enhance his own sonic abilities. So you can use that to recreate that scene. So that's very cool. Okay, we'll move on to his last set of accessories for Blaster anyway. So he does come with a set of open hands that are on a peg with a hinge, right? So there's some articulation at the wrist where you can bend the hands around. And he also comes with a set of pointing hands, which of course you can use to have him push on the buttons on the front of his chest to open up his chest for the eject feature. I'll show that real quick right now. So all these buttons are solid, although they have details in them for line separation, right? So you can see each individual button, but if you push anywhere on this area, it just opens up his chest for the cassettes. And with his chest open, let's go ahead and I'll just grab the two cassettes. Again, it's Rewind and Ramhorn that he comes with. I might as well just take a quick look at them right now. So the thing with these cassettes at this size, I need to do a review of the Soundwave one. I actually have it here. I actually have it right here in the box, and I should do a review on it too to check out the cassettes on that. I will. Anyway, obviously these don't look like cassettes, or at least Ramhorn doesn't look like cassettes. There's not enough details. There is the circle here, right, for, you know, the spindle of tape that would be inside. But really, if you look at this, like, it doesn't look like a cassette at all. Rewind is even worse. That's obviously his chest. Those are his arms and legs folded up. His arms here. So there's nothing on this that looks like a cassette, right? It doesn't even have any details in it that looks like anything that would be a cassette tape. However, I think it's excusable given the size of it, right? Like, how would you possibly... The fact that they've got any details at all in Ramhorn is impressive enough. There's nothing in Eject. How would you do it, I guess, would be the question. So anyway, it does just slide into the chest very nicely. It is a nice, easy fit. It's not too tight or anything. It does just slide in there. It does just slide in there, and as you can see, there's some movement so it doesn't get stuck in there, and you can close up the chest fully like that. There is no actual eject feature, so if you open up the chest, just tilt him forward and he'll just slide right out. And we'll put those guys right there like that. I'll show off the accessories for Rewind. So Rewind does come with 2 of his pistols, which are extremely small and hard to hold on to. There we go. Very nice details. Also painted gold, the same as the speakers. Lots of nice details in it. Sight on top as well. Magazine cartridge. I'm not even going to bother. Magazine cartridge there at the front. And some details in the body of the weapon as well. So very, very nice looking accessory there for Rewind. And with all that aside, we'll go ahead and take a look at the articulation of Blaster. Just give me a second. I'm just going to clean all this up. Alright, so for the articulation, his head is on, and it's on a very exposed ball joint, so there you go. Anyway, so he can look straight up in the air if you really want him to. He can look forward very slightly. There is not a lot of clearance between his chin and the top of his chest, so he doesn't get a lot of clearance there for the looking down. The shoulder and arms are on a type of universal. It's actually part of the transformation, so you do only get slightly over 90 degrees there at the shoulder. It does rotate around 360 degrees. We do have a bicep swivel 360. We have a double elbow bend, very nice. Again, very good of Newage to consistently give us these double elbow bends, gives us lots of articulation. Obviously, as you saw, the hand is on a peg, so you can do 360 with that as well. We do have a waist swivel 360. We do have a ridiculous ab crunch of 90 degrees. Thank you, Newage. That is very cool. And no hip skirts to get in the way here for his legs, so his legs come all the way out, and it is shaped so that you can get that 90 degrees. His legs go all the way forward. His legs go all the way back. Pretty much there is a little bit of a bump here, so it doesn't quite get 90 degrees, but that's far enough back that you can get whatever posing you need. He does have a thigh swivel. He does have a 90-degree knee bend. And he does have an ankle rocker in. It can go 90 degrees. He does not have an ankle rocker out. And he does have a slight toe tilt up. No toe tilt down. There's also no heel articulation as well. So that's all of the articulation. Again, more than enough articulation for any pose that you want to get out of that guy. Okay, let's switch over to the overhead cam. We'll take a look at the transformation. Pretty simple transformation. Maybe a little more complicated than I thought that it needed to be with the legs, and I'll show you all that as we go through it. Again, I'm not sure why companies need to overcomplicate the Blaster or Soundwave transformations, given the fact that it is a square transforming into a square. But I think I can understand some of the engineering choices for Blaster in the transformation. So anyway, it is what it is. So we're going to start with the arms. So that hinge point that I talked about earlier, his arm does fold backwards. Oh, sorry, we need to fold the hand away first. So the back of his arm, standard transformation stuff, the back of his arm opens up. The fist, just make sure it's lined up there. Fold his hand away. And then the tab that is here will close in on that panel. So you just squeeze it together like that. And then you can break the first half of the form away 90 degrees. And then you want to rotate the forearm out so that it ends up positioned like this. Just zoomed in a bit, I just realized that the camera was positioned really far away. So again, we're going to open up that forearm, we're going to flip the fist inside, make sure that that tab is lined up for the forearm panel, and just squeeze it together. And then break the forearm away and fold it around 180, and then you're just going to rotate the forearm out so that you end up with this. Both of these shoulders actually pivot straight down on their universal joints, so you just want to pull down on the shoulder like that so that it slides down. I'll show it again here, just like that. So now it's in a slightly lower position. You will find as you're doing the transformation that his waist will swivel around, so you're constantly kind of adjusting there. We'll move down to the feet, so you want to actually move the legs apart just so that you can work with them. Don't go all the way out 90 degrees like this. You do need to open up all this paneling here, and the arms do get in the way, so you just want to position it right about here, and then you'll fold the legs up afterwards. So we'll open up the feet. The handles are pinned to the side of the legs on a peg, so you just need to get in behind it there just to lift it off this peg that's right here and fold the handle out 90 degrees. Then this entire back panel here will break away from the front half. You do want to flip up this rear panel just to get it out of the way, because it does sometimes hinder the leg opening up. And you basically want to open the panel. It's a double panel, so you want to open them both up, and then we're basically going to explode out this inside panel, which makes up the front of the stereo. So you just want to bring it out, keep unfolding it, keep unfolding it. Gray panel on the inside here, keep unfolding it. And then there's this red piece that's sticking 90 degrees. You want to bring that out so it's straight 90 degrees, just like that. And that is essentially that part, and you can close up the back of the leg so that this part is now sticking out forward. So you also want to fold in the part above his foot that has the two red circles. I've actually found that the panel is so small, it's really hard to get your finger in there. At least I found it problematic. So I just grab a spudger just to push this panel. Come on, you. Push the panel back 90 degrees inside the leg like this. And that's just to get everything cleared out of the way. So that's essentially the transformation for the leg, and you can bring it up here like this. We'll be folding both legs up towards the body later on. So I'll just repeat the whole process here on the other leg, obviously. So we're going to open up the foot, open up, unpeg that handle. We're going to open up this leg. That rear panel I was talking about, you don't necessarily have to. It is part of the transformation at the end. You can do it either way. In fact, I think I'll go back, because I think that's actually part of the last step of the transformation. But I do find that if you at least unpeg it from the tab, it does help with the opening of the leg. Just clears it out of the way. Again, we're going to open up the leg panel all the way, and then we're just going to start exploding these panels out. So we're just unfolding panels, more panels, gray panel, and this red one right here that goes out 90 degrees. Once you have everything straightened out, you can go ahead and bring the back of the leg up so that this is pointing straight out, and then you can bring your leg up towards the arms. So before we do fold the legs all the way up, there is actually there's a peg that's folded away. As you can see, that's what this is here. And I find the easiest way to get it is actually fold the knee away, but you actually need to lift this peg out from inside the thigh. It's part of one of the tabs that solidifies up the transformation when you go into robot. The other thing is that this panel that's here in his upper hip actually flips around 180. So if you put your thumb on the red part and press, it'll start the rotation, and then you just want to get your thumb in there and rotate around. So now, see on the other side, there's red paint. It gets hidden away I'm not sure that that was necessary for Fans Toys to get that picky about the details in the alt mode. I will tell you too that this part is really, really stiff for some reason to get it rotated around. The pin's really tight. And again, we're just gonna lift up this tab out of the leg like that. And then we can go ahead and move on to collapsing the legs up. So I'll bring the legs up 90 degrees. Now, as you're rotating the legs up, it's best to turn them around so you can see what's going on. So there's actually a tab here on the back of the hip, and this panel right here actually tabs onto that as you bring it up. So you'll see that as you're rotating it up, that panel will hit on that tab, but you can just lift the panel away so you can complete the rotation 90 degrees, and then that panel will tab right onto that tab. I'll show it again here, right? So again, right, it gets hooked up right there. So just lift this tab, pivot, Friends reference, sorry, and then tab it into place so that you end up with this. Right, so obviously the panels that we exploded out from inside the legs now will just fold down, and those tabs that you folded out earlier is what this gray part will peg into. So we're just going to bring those down, line it up, and press it onto that tab. Same thing on the other side. Just making sure that everything is twisted into place. There we go. And of course we have to get the head out of the way, so we'll do that first. So open up his back. There's a flat panel here, and there's a block panel here as well. So you actually want to get just in behind the head and pull them both out, which exposes the opening in the back for his head. So you just want to rotate the head inside the chest. Leave the flat panel down at the bottom and separate this block part from it. See, it's also tabbed in. So this goes up to hide the head. And you do have to fiddle with this a bit to make sure that the tab is lined up. It'll clunk into place. This panel here now will peg onto here. And by the way, there is, I'm just going to show this again. So there is a step in the transformation that actually talks about pulling this panel down and flipping up a tab inside and putting it back into place. But it actually pushes the back part of his hips out too far. So I don't know why it's in the instructions. It doesn't seem to make any sense. I don't know if it's supposed to be that way in his robot mode, but it came this way in the box, so I just left it. And it doesn't make the back of the robot mode look bad, so I just left it like that. Anyway, so now you have the back all nicely squared up like this. Those panels I was talking about earlier in the back of his legs, now you can bring those down so that they tab in there. And that just cleans everything up in the back and adds some additional details back here that we'll go over. So like I said, so the handle will pivot forward right inside the leg there, like that. Same thing on the other side. You just lift up and over that bump where those two pins are. It's like a double pivot. And then obviously this handle will tab in underneath that one, just like that. Now we can fold the feet and the heels down to make up the top of the stereo, and then, oops, I forgot to flip this panel in. There we go. And then we can flip the feet down, and there you go. Now you have his alt mode. So let's go ahead and take a look at that alt mode. Again, very cool looking alt mode as well. Obviously, right, if the robot mode looks good, then his alt mode is obviously going to look good as well. Does clean up very nicely. Not a heck of a lot of paneling going on. Like, you can see paneling, but it is done in such a way that the lines kind of hide themselves away in the paint coloring that's going on between the red and the light gray. Again, cool speaker details, which, you know, are left over from his robot mode. Those panels that explode out, they have some button details to add into his alt mode, is very cool. Handle details here at the top, all very nice stuff. Some additional details on the side, right, just some plastic details, a circle in these lines here on either side. Little too many screws, I think, for the side profile, but again, if you are displaying this in alt mode, I think you're probably just going to be displaying it front on anyway, right? I don't think you're going to be displaying it off to the side like this. not overly insightful, but it is noticeable in the right light. They're shiny screws, right? So when the light catches them the right way, they do pick up that light a lot. And of course, the back cleans up very nicely. Again, flipping down those panels does make this into a nice square back. There's actually some red chrome details on the back, which I thought was interesting. If you can see it in the light. I don't know why they chose that, again, given that it's on the back of the alt mode. I don't suspect anybody is displaying this like this in their cabinet if you are going to display it in alt mode. Obviously, this is the way that you want to display it. But very, very nicely cleaned up alt mode, even though, like I mentioned during the transformation, there is a lot of manipulation with the legs of exploding out these panels from inside the legs and folding things up, right? The folding in of those panels where his feet are is a little irritating in that you actually have to use, at least I did, you have to use some type of tool to get them to fold away. Same thing with transforming it back to robot mode. You actually have to put this inside the leg panel to push it out because you can't actually get your finger in there enough to manipulate it. But that is minor compared to the overall figure itself. I'm just going to slide him back. I'm going to bring in the two cassettes, and we'll take a look at their transformation, and then we'll take a look at their alt modes. Let's start with Rewind. And these are very simple transformations, obviously, for something this size. So his feet are here on the bottom, so we're just going to start with rotating those out. Like that. And then we're going to rotate the feet out. And you'll want to rotate them towards where his head is. Is it towards it? No, it's not. Sorry, you actually want to rotate it away from his head, because when you flip his head up, this actually becomes his front. So again, you're just bringing the leg out and around, and then rotating the lower thigh forward, so his feet are pointing forward. His chest is double folded down. There's actually a double mushroom peg here in the middle. So you're just opening him up, so he's standing straight up like that, and there's his front chest. Lift his arm up, rotate his arm around on the ball joint, and then rotate his arm forward for the elbow joint. There is actually a sort of a double pivot that's going on when you rotate his arm around. You can actually pull it down just to get some extension on the shoulder. Not sure why that is. There's enough clearance room at the shoulder here with the ball joint, so I'm not sure why that is. But if you do go to transform back into cassette, just keep that in mind, that you do actually have to like lift the shoulder back up. I'm not sure if you can see that. I'll see, you got this, there is some movement there in the shoulder, so you have to make sure that the shoulder's back up in the upper position to get his arm to line up with the head. And then you can rotate the head around. Now, I will tell you that in the box, his head actually comes facing forward. I thought it was weird when I'm looking at the alt mode that I can see his face, so I just turn his face around before I collapse his upper body back down, so you don't see his face in his alt mode. And it's as simple as that. So I just bring some nice details here for Rewind, right? Again, right out of the G1 cartoon. Everything on this is also painted, as far as I can tell. So we have a like a off-white painted face, along with red around the face. Right, he has a full faceplate for her mouth. So we have red in around the eyes, along with bright blue chrome. And then there's some gold painting on his chest. That's the same paint as the speakers and his pistols that I showed earlier. Yeah, and there's even like a little bit of line details in his legs and in his forearms, around his bicep and all that. He has full articulation as well, so he has ball joints everywhere, which means that he does have the full 360 swivel on his head. He can actually look down and look back. He has full 360 on his arms. Ball joint at the elbow means that there is a forearm swivel as well as a 90-degree bend. The arms can go out 90 degrees. As you saw, there's a double ball joint for the upper torso to the waist, so that means he gets 360 waist. He does actually have a slight ab crunch. Legs go out 90 degrees, legs go forward 90 degrees, they go back 90 degrees. There's no thigh swivel. We've got a 90-degree knee bend. There's no toe tilt or ankle rocker or anything, but I mean, that's a lot of articulation for a figure at this size, so well done again. And also for a figure this size, he stands up just fine. Let's take a look at Ramhorn again. Very simple transformation, nothing overly complicated. The actual most difficult part I find with his transformation is it's a tight fit for the feet that are actually touching each other, so you actually want to try to pull them down together. So just get your finger in behind the 2 feet that are here and pull down. I will caution you that as you are doing this, that the mechanism that makes up his feet, and you're just rotating them forward into that position, but the mechanism that makes up his feet, I just did it, is actually completely separate from the body, and it's just a tab and a peg. So as you're pulling down on the feet, you might actually separate the component from the body. So just keep that in mind. Don't panic if it happens. That's like the 3rd time that's happened to me in the few times I've practiced the transformation. So there you go. So you're just pulling the feet down. His rocket launchers are here that are tucked in on a double pin. So you just need to get your finger underneath one of them, and I will tell you that I struggled with this too. Anyway, so get one of them out 90 degrees and then bring it down to the outside of the body. The other one's a lot easier. You can actually just push it on the top so it swings over, lift it up, bring it out, and it's on the back. And the head is just folded right here. So you can just bring the head out and Ramhorn. Also fully painted. Again, the gold same as the speakers and the guns and what's on Rewind. So and some details in it that actually looks like 3 rockets on either side of his hips. A little bit of gray in around his ankles on both sets of legs. There's actually some articulation in his head, which is nice, right? You can look down, you can look up, so that's cool. And obviously the legs can swing forward and backward for various positions. When you do rotate the head out, there is this panel here that does come up for some reason, so you can just push it back down. It's part of the transformation, and in the instructions they'll actually show you to pull this up like this before you fold the head back into it. And I think it's just to protect the horns when you fold it back into the body. So just something to know. Just take a look at the instructions, and they are in reverse order, so it's easier to figure out the transformation back to cassette. There's actually like gray dots for the eyes as well, so you've taken the gray off the legs and the reel for the cassette mode, and they've touched it up in his eyes as well. So very cool details there for Ramhorn. And I do just want to point something out. So one point of discussion before I end this off. So I don't normally show off the instructions, but I am going to show them off for this particular point, because he came with 2 cassettes, and actually I'll bring in the packaging as well. So he came with 2 cassettes, right? But what's this? Why is this empty? Why is there only 2 cassettes with this? So then you go and you look at the instructions, and oh look, there's instructions for all 3 cassettes, including Steeljaw here in the middle. So, hey Newage, where's my Steeljaw? Are you making me buy a second blaster that I don't want just so I can get Steeljaw? I don't like that. I don't necessarily like that approach. If you could not do that ever again, I would really, really appreciate it. If you're going to give me my G1 blaster, please give me my G1 cassettes as well, and don't make me buy a second iteration that we all know is coming out, so that I can complete my Autobot Cassetticons or Recordicons or whatever it is that they're referred to. Anyway, Really cool figure though, regardless. It's like I said, the transformation component in the legs seems a little overcomplicated. Nothing too serious though. Overall, the robot mode looks really, really good. The paint applications are really, really good. The head sculpt details are really, really good. Loving this alt mode. Looks like a blaster boombox, like right out of the cartoon. Same with the robot mode. And given the size of the cassettes, I mean, they don't look like cassettes in their alt mode. That's fine. I'm probably not displaying them in cassette mode anyway, right? I'm probably going to be displaying them in this mode along with Blaster in his robot mode, so it's not overly terrible. It's completely made up by the fact that Rewind's articulation at that size is absolutely amazing, so excellent job by Newage there. Ramhorn looks fantastic as well. So no complaints on their alt modes, even though their cassette modes, their alt modes do look a little cheap, if you will. Anyway, that's it everybody. I'm the Rusty Mechanic. Thanks for hanging out with me. I hope you enjoyed this video. As I said, I am having a monthly raffle starting this month, every month, to support Kennedy's Village, which is a non-profit organization that's near and dear to my heart. My co-hosts on the Do You Even Transform Bro podcast both have children that have sickle cell disease, and Eric B in particular is part of this foundation to help try to bridge the gap between sickle cell research and care for families and loved ones who are fighting this disease. So I am giving away I am doing a raffle every month to try to help and support them. You can find more details about that on my YouTube channel. I've posted up a video called Monthly Raffle Giveaway that you can go and check out about all the details and all the rules. And every month I'm going to be posting something on Facebook to let everybody know what figure I'm going to try to give away for that month. Like I said, this month it is going to be this guy, Studio Series 86 Optimus Prime. So go ahead and check out that video, get involved. Go put your entries in. Let's help support this organization. And of course, if you want to check out the description down below, I've got a bunch of links down there on ways that you can also help to support the channel. Also, how you can go ahead and find this guy on showzstore.com. Again, don't forget to use my code RUSTY on the website at the top of the page for support your favorite reviewer. And with all of that, thank you very much. Once again, I am the Rusty Mechanic, and we'll see you next time.